Hi, I'm Marty, and this is Cooking at the Kraus House. Today, I have a super special guest that I'm really excited about. This is my friend Liella Gardner. We have been friends since we were 14 years old. We met when we were freshmen in high school, and we have done a lot of fun things together, including cruising Maine. Do you remember that?
Yes.
They don't do that anymore, and it's good. It's not a good thing to do. But Liella and I have had all of our children together. We used to be neighbors.
One street away.
Yeah, and so we raised our kids together. We vacationed together. We've driven to Texas together. We have done all kinds of things, some we won't talk about on this show. But today, Liella is making for us
Rigatoni.
What do you like about it?
I love this recipe because it is addicting. You can't stop eating it. So to me, that's the sign of a good recipe, when you just can't stop.
And Liella knows because she loves food. All of my kids, in a good way, I didn't mean it rude, in a good way, she loves food. All of my kids have been excited for me to have Liella be on the cooking channel because nobody enjoys food like Liella does, and you can even hear it.
She's a little bit of an exaggerator, but that's okay.
So Liella's going to tell us what's in rigatoni.
Okay, so this recipe is basically two, because you have your white sauce and you have your red sauce. And so the best part about it is you can modify it to your family. For example, let's start at the beginning. You're going to start with your pasta, and you can really pick any pasta that you want. But in this recipe, we're using rigatoni, which is why we call it rigatoni. Is that what it's called? Rigatoni? Yeah. Okay. I've heard this recipe called red and white, casserole, rigatoni, whatever. And then you're going to have your marinara sauce. And they like to use a little less. I use a bigger bottle than this one, so it's whatever your family likes.
Also, pick a sauce that you like. We usually use that Spinatos, and we really like it, but you can use whatever kind you like. You can make your own.
Yeah.
You have all the time in the world.
Right. I will say that when I make spaghetti, I always make my own sauce. I would never use jarred marinara for my spaghetti, but for this recipe, works, it's perfect, and it's fast. All right, and then you're going to use whipping cream, and Marty also uses more whipping cream in her recipe than I use in mine, but I'm going to try it. And then you can use all hamburger meat or all sausage, or you can mix it as we've done here. And recently, Marty told me that at the real restaurant, Rigatoni's, that they put a layer of summer sausage. And so I just tried that last week, and my family loved it. Then we also need shredded Parmesan, not the powder stuff. Mozzarella. You'll need half a thing, 4 ounces of cream cheese, butter, and garlic powder.
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't tell if it was salt. Okay, garlic powder. So those are the basic ingredients for this recipe. So the first step is we're going to cook our meats together. And whatever meat you like, you just do a pound of it. All right, so you're just going to stir your meats until there's no pink left. And then we're going to drain the grease off and add in the sauce. Okay, so now that we have browned our meat and we have drained it, we're going to pour in our sauce. And we're going to just stir it in, mix it together really well, and then we're just going to let it simmer while we start some of the other steps. Okay, so now the next step is our white sauce, our Alfredo. So we're going to put in our butter and our cream cheese and let it start melting together. So we're going to add our whipping cream. Oh, that's thick.
And now you're adding the garlic, which is super funny to Leola.
Oh gosh. All right, so you're going to get this simmering, and once it starts getting hot, it mixes together very smoothly, and then you're going to add your grated Parmesan cheese. And it will start getting very kind of stringy when it gets melted in really well.
It does. If you let it simmer for a little while, that stringiness goes away.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead now and add about 1/4 teaspoon of pepper and about 1/8 teaspoon of salt. You don't need very much salt though, because cheese is already just a little bit salty. And you can see now that we've been mixing it and mixing it, it's nice and creamy.
That looks perfect.
We are ready to assemble our casserole. I've already sprayed the pan. And the nice thing about this recipe is that you can double it, which I would actually recommend, because you can bake it in a pretty little dish like this, or you can
bake it in a dish if you double it, and then you'll also have a leftover.
Yes.
Like it makes 2 9x13s.
Yes.
So you can put it in this, put foil on it and freeze it, or you can put it in this and take it to a neighbor. Sometimes you're making dinner for a sick friend or for another family. And so if you double it, you can have one for your family, which usually when we have to make dinner for somebody who had a baby or is sick, they get dinner, but we don't.
Right.
So this is a great recipe because you can have one for your family and take one to a friend or freeze it.
But nowadays, because our families are so big,
Because we're old.
yes, and we have lots of children and grandchildren, I double the recipe and bake it in this. And it fits perfectly.
And it's a perfect amount to feed your whole family.
Yes, and people feel like they can go back for more instead of, yes. All right, so we are going to now mix together our Alfredo sauce.
So this is that 1 pound box of rigatoni that we boiled. And we're just going to mix it up in our sauce till it's completely coated and covered.
I'm going to show you because it already looks delicious.
It does. If we weren't on camera, we'd probably taste it, but we're going to hold back. One of the things that Leola is super famous for in our family, and my husband even said, when I said Leola's going to come do this today, he says, please do it with her eating sounds, because Leola enjoys good food. And so when she eats, it's always like, you can just hear her happiness in the food that she eats. And she's pretty famous for that. And it's a good thing.
Who does not appreciate good food? All right, so we are going to go ahead and just dump that in. Nice and creamy. Save that pan for later. Spread around your Alfredo part.
You can see that it already looks so creamy and delicious. We could add some cheese and probably just eat it.
Yeah, I mean, that is basically a recipe in itself, but no.
It's going to get better.
We are going to make it even better. And I do not know what it is about this recipe, but it is truly addictive.
everybody that I've shared this recipe with loves it.
Me too.
And always wants the recipe. Do you want me to hold this?
It's probably hot, but yeah.
I'm
sure.
a woman.
Okay. All right. So the first time I ever had this recipe was at Bunko. Thank you, Julie. And I came home. I mean, I had to have the recipe. I came home, made it for my family, and I bet I've shared this recipe 10 times with other people. It's just addictive.
Notice how she is nicely spooning it onto the top. You do not want to mix this. Then it turns into vodka sauce, only without the vodka. So you just want to spoon it nicely over the top, cover all the pasta, but do not mix it.
So after you have your marinara sauce on top, then you're going to take your mozzarella, put it over. Thank you.
So this pasta is kind of a surprise when you serve it because nobody knows that it secretly has under there Alfredo sauce, which is so delicious. And so it's quite a surprise when you serve it. And people just think you're getting some lasagna or some, red pasta thing, but actually it's a delicious surprise.
And something about that combination of mixing the marinara with the Alfredo, honestly, I only started making this recipe within the last 2 or 3 years. I do not know how our family lived without it the past 30, to be honest, because it's now our favorite. Okay.
All right, so then we just put it in the oven for about 30 minutes at 350 degrees.
Our rigatoni is out of the oven and we are ready to serve it. You can see that the cheese is all melted on top and golden. Let's break into this and see how amazing it looks so you can see inside.
Ooh. So you can see that the noodles are all covered in white sauce, but a little bit of that red sauce has seeped down in, but I cannot tell you how delicious this is. And when you make this at home, it's going to be one of your new family favorites. And you're going to wonder too how you made it for so many years without it. Super delicious. I want to thank Liella for being on my show. We have been friends since high school, which was just a few years ago, and have raised our kids together and gone on vacations together and have had many years of happy friendship. And
you know that saying that we'll always be friends because you know all my secrets? It's true.
Sadly, Liella tells them though.
That's another show.
Hope not. So anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. This is a great recipe. Like I said, your family is going to love this. So please remember to like it, I'm never going to get this right. Subscribe, to hit the notification button, to add a comment.
Share it.
Share would be good. And you can leave a comment as long as it's nice. And we'll see you next Monday. Thank you.